So when it comes to having a product, that's a big deal for a brand. The Expedition is a big deal, both literally and figuratively, for the Ford brand. This, of course, is Ford's largest SUV, especially when you choose the Max version. It's absolutely massive, and today we're going to be taking a look at the fully loaded Platinum trim of this Expedition Max. Let's get started. So starting out with the exterior of this new Expedition, of course you are going to see a new front end. Ford has kind of matched this to some of the latest SUVs and trucks in their lineup. It actually has a little bit of a smoother look that's a little less boxy than it was previously. So you'll notice for the Platinum trim level, we've got the full gloss black finish across the front. You have this really detailed chrome piece with a texture that's going to run below it, kind of highlighting it, and then of course you have prominent Expedition badging all across the top here. There's going to continue to be a lot of different trim levels you can choose from. Each one of those trims is going to have a different character. Now in terms of our headlights, you'll see that we have our LED headlights. Those of course are going to be standard equipment. These are reflector LEDs for both your low and your high beams that are separated right there. Also, you've got a very prominent daytime running light which runs across the top, then curves down and wraps all the way around into this light bar, which again is going to run all the way across the front. This is about making the product look distinct both in the daylight and at nighttime. Now what does Max mean? Well, that means kind of pushing the limits, right? And right here we have some wheels that push the limits. Ford is adding now a 24-inch alloy option to the Expedition. That's what we're looking at right now. These are absolutely massive wheels, pretty much the largest size you can get on any type of vehicle, no matter what the price point. And I have to say, here in person, it really pops against this boxy shape, and there's a lot of details in terms of the overall design of the spokes as well. Obviously, this is a very luxurious SUV. You're going to have the full features for the mirrors, including auto dimming and power folding.
Now at the side, you might be tempted to call me a very short person. However, I assure you I'm 5'9" and I'm pretty much the average size adult. This thing is just absolutely ridiculously big. So definitely check to make sure it's going to fit in your garage, because most likely it won't in the Max form. It is 221 inches long. If you get the standard wheelbase version, that does shrink it down a little bit. It's going to be about 210 inches long if you choose that version. But this one is supersized to the maximum degree. This entire back window panel is fully blacked out. We also have this blacked out pillar for a nice seamless look, and then we also have big roof rails up at the top so you can attach anything that you're going to need for your family adventures. Now, moving around to the rear design of this Expedition Max, we have a completely new look. So the front is, pretty new, but the back, I think, really takes the cake for looking very fresh and modern, because it has a lot of controversial design elements. We'll hear your opinion on that in just a second, but we have a spoiler up top. All of your glass is going to be nice and sleek. Your wipers integrated underneath. Here in the middle, we have Expedition branding. And this is the piece that I was talking about that is a little controversial, because on this model, you actually have a fully blacked out kind of center section to the tailgate itself. The rest of it is going to be body color, so it adds that nice little contrasty look that a lot of you guys might be looking for. Now, as far as your taillight unit, that's going to be also a very new design. It's going to be a full LED taillight, so you have an LED accenting, brake light, reverse light, and then also another little accent on the side. Dropping down, we have our Max branding, and then down at the very bottom, you're not going to have any exposed exhaust outlets. However, we do have a really impressive tow rating this year. It's 9,600 pounds, which is actually up 300 pounds over what it was previously. And a big family SUV like this really needs to have a lot of safety gear. Ford knows that, so they are including every single one of your safety systems as standard equipment. That's even going to include things like adaptive cruise control. Also new for this Expedition is the fact that Blue Cruise, which is their hands-free highway driving system, that's going to be available on 90% of the Ford Expedition lineup. So the vast majority of models will have Blue Cruise equipment on it, which really is going to help take the stress out of those long road trips you'll be doing in this vehicle. But guys, there is a maximally luxurious cabin on the inside. Let's dive into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from sound level readings to cargo measurements, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Now let's take a look at the inside. Here's our key fob. It's the typical Ford key fob, of course. You have standard smart entry and remote start. You will also have the availability of a digital key system for entering the vehicle, and you'll just grab behind the handle and that will unlock the door. Now you notice that when I did that, our power deploying running boards popped out down there below to help you get inside the vehicle easier. And then take a look at this interior. Guys, this is really a huge change from the outgoing Expedition. They have changed just about everything inside of this interior to be radically different, especially when it comes to, technology. But before we do that, of course, we're going to talk about the seats, as we always do. There's a lot of trims that this is available in, so you're going to have a lot of different materials that you can select. But critically, today's model we're showing you is the Platinum with the High package. So that's going to elevate things to the maximum in terms of luxury. We have a exclusive high-end leather. As you can see, stitching details, platinum badging, really soft and supple as I put my hands on it down through there. There's two exclusive color options as well. This is the Mojave Dusk, I believe, which is kind of a darker color. And then the seats themselves are going to have a lot of adjustability. These are also massaging seats as well, and of course you have memory seating. But let's go ahead and get inside without further ado. Now let's look around at some other cabin materials in here. On our Platinum High model, we've got leatherette all through here, across the armrest portion with stitching details. It's perforated through the center section and along the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, we've got leatherette all across through here with a stitching detail. And then you'll notice we have a little bit of cloth trim on this extreme upper portion. That's because this is actually a giant sound bar that kind of runs all the way across the vehicle, which is a pretty cool design touch as well. You've got some wood decor that runs through the center section here. Ambient lighting is going to trace all through here for a really nice look here in kind of the low lighting situation. And of course, everything is nicely padded in this region as well. But let's go ahead and see if we can get some of the electronics fired up here so we can take a look at these big displays. Now, let's just go ahead and start talking about these displays, guys, because I'm sure your attention has already been grabbed onto those because these are absolutely enormous displays. So what Ford has done is really just kind of radically rethought the layout of Expedition, because we now have a very large 24-inch display, which is going to push way back here. And this actually kind of serves as both your gauge cluster, infotainment, part of your infotainment system, I should say, and a head-up display. So it's kind of a three-focus thing, which is 24 inches once again. And as you can see, as it boots up here with this pre-production model, we have our map over there. We also have our gauge cluster right through there. And all this is going to be fully reconfigurable as you would expect. Now, one of the things that they did that I really like is that they really thought about how the steering wheel actually interacts with that new gauge cluster, because they have reshaped this to a two-spoke. It's actually very squared off, so it's flat on the top and the bottom. So it's going to allow you to have those easy sight lines into that gauge cluster, which is recessed back. Now, the steering wheel itself does have a lot of virtual buttons through there and some touch sensors that you can engage with. And it is, of course, power tilt and telescoping and heated, as you expect, for a very expensive, very large and loaded SUV. Now, interior storage-wise, there's going to be a lot to talk about as well. One of the things you're going to be looking at is having a console now that can slide back and forth. I don't know if it'll work here on the prototype. Oh, look at this. It is working. Fantastic. This actually go back and forth up to 8 inches, which reveals to you this really enormous and very flexible storage area that you can just dump any types of storage, different types of things like a purse, groceries, whatever that your life is going to throw at you, you can throw it in there. Very fast sliding as well. And that's in addition to the fact that you just have generally a ton of storage. So you've got a wireless phone charging pad, big bin here, big cup holders right there. You can also crack open this, and guys, look at this. Oh my gosh, it's absolutely insanely large in here. That's going to fit a ton of donuts when we get to officially test it out, which of course we are looking forward to doing very soon. Up in this area, this is kind of the next place I want to take a look at. You'll notice you have a lot of physical control. So even though there's a lot of screens in here, we still have the main things rendered with physical controls, such as the shifter, small electronic style shifter, manual drive or manual gear selection, excuse me. And then over here you've got your volume knob for the audio system that I was mentioning earlier. So this is a 22 speaker Bang & Olufsen Unleashed sound system. This does come on the Platinum High, and based on what we've experienced with other Bang & Olufsen sound systems, I've got very high expectations for this because they're really phenomenal in terms of their audio quality, and this one has a ton of speakers even up there in the headrest all around the cabin once again. So I'm really expecting great things from this audio system. Now, in terms of this display, so this is the one that you can actually interact with, obviously, because it isn't within reach. It's going to be 13.2 inches, so it itself is very large. Your climate controls are inside of this, so you make your adjustments right there. Dual zone, or excuse me, 3-zone climate is standard equipment. This is the latest Ford digital infotainment system as well. So what this has is a lot of just kind of elevated technology way above Sync 4 because the performance is a lot faster. It has Google Apps built in. So all those things are just going to make your engaging with the vehicle even better than before. Wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, of course, as well. Up top here, we've got an auto-dimming mirror. Your HomeLink remotes are located right there. And then, of course, you have a very large panoramic sunroof.
And now let's talk about the rear seat area for this Expedition. Now, this area is, of course, very big and very large, as it needs to be. So we're looking at 41.1 inches of legroom and about 40 inches of headroom. Those are absolutely fantastic figures here in this Expedition. You certainly will be able to fit any of your family's needs here in the second row. Additionally, I do want to point out I have plenty of, knee room with the seat adjusted to Drew's driving position. Also, these seats can slide forward and back a very good distance, as well as recline for maximum comfort. And boy, these things recline a long ways on a long auto show day. It's not to try not to fall asleep here. Now, as far as the seats themselves, on all but the very base active trim level, you're going to get these captain's chairs, real big, thick armrest on board, so it's super comfortable. And then as far as features, 2 cup holders up here in the front. You also have your own radio controls here on the Platinum High. Additionally, we have our own zone of climate and heated back seats. Heated back seats are actually included on all but the very base model as well. And then we have a household outlet down here at the very bottom to keep everything charged up. Speaking of charging connections, you have some more of them here integrated into the seat back itself. And you are noticing that we don't have rear seat entertainment screens. That's because Ford has instead decided to go for a device holder instead of, a fixed tablet style infotainment system back here. The reason for that is, of course, because people, nowadays really kind of just use their own technology. So Ford came up with a system to integrate that a little bit better. Vents coming out of the ceiling. So overall, a very nice rear seat. No rear window sunshades, though. But let's go ahead and talk about the third row of this Expedition, because that's where a lot of people are going to be spending a lot of time. Before we get back here, there is a button that's going to actually tilt the seat up and out of the way, and the way that it tilts out of the way, you would not have to remove a child seat, so that's certainly very nice. But let's go ahead and hop back here in the third row of the Expedition. Oh yeah, wow. This is quite an experience here. We're looking at about 36 inches of legroom. That is incredible amounts of space, guys. Really fantastic. If you're looking for something that you need a third row in, this is pretty much your vehicle. Now, we have 3 third-row seats, so you can fit 3 people. You even have a headrest for that middle seat. As far as features, we have cup holders, 2 USB ports on each side, and we also have the ability to power recline a bit as well. So really, this is like the ultimate third row that you can really ask for. As far as how it's going to rate on our third row rating scale, with all these features like vents and cup holders and just the overall comfort and thigh support you're going to have, I'm going to say this is fit for a king. But there's some big news when it comes to the tailgate area for the new Expedition, because it's not just two-tone when it comes to design. It's also going to have a new split function. So unlike things like a Tahoe, you have kind of a split system here, which is ultimate for any of your tailgating needs. So I know that's kind of a fan favorite feature. I really love it as well. And this piece can support up to 600 pounds. So you certainly could fit several people just sitting back here quite comfortably. And Ford does offer quite a few accessories as well for this split tailgate area. Now, as far as the cargo capacity is concerned, you're going to have a ton of space as expected. So you can expect about 37 cubic feet behind the third row of seats here with the Max model. And if we fold all those seats down, which we can easily do just by pressing these buttons, super easy, one single press, and that's going to reveal a maximum of over 120 cubic feet, about 123 to be exact here with this maximum version. Really plentiful space. If you really can't fit it in this Expedition, I don't think you need it. Underneath of the floor, you also do have a little bit of extra space for things like an umbrella. In order to shut it up, you just press the button. It's going to actually shut both halves. Let me get out of the way there before I get hit.
And let's talk about what is under the hood. So of course, for a big SUV, you're expecting a lot of power, and indeed that is what you're going to find. So standard is going to be a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6 engine. This is Ford's EcoBoost V6, and now you are going to get 400 horsepower as the standard option across the trim levels, unless you choose either the Platinum with the high package, or you also choose the Trimmer. If you get either of those two, you're actually going to be bumped up additional power to 440 horsepower. Now this is going to be paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Of course, you do have both a rear drive version and four-wheel drive. And in terms of some other things, of course, you saw that it had 24-inch alloy wheels. And a big part of this is that we're going to have adaptive dampers on board with this, but we're not going to have an air suspension. So I just wanted to point that out. Of course, we're not going to be driving it today. We're here in an auto show, but we do look forward to very soon actually getting out behind the wheel of this model and testing out how's the ride quality when we're talking about having 24-inch alloy wheels. So certainly that's going to be a big thing that we're going to be looking to test out once we get behind the wheel, coming soon. So make sure you're subscribed if you want to know about the ride quality of this upcoming Expedition.
Now we do have pricing for the Expedition right now, so let's go ahead and dive into that. So we start at around $61,000 for the active two-wheel drive. For the Max model, $64,000 is what we're sitting at. And this Platinum starts at $77,000. If you want the Platinum with the Max package, of course, that's going to cost more. You can see what we are thinking the price on this one is right now on the screen. Now, if you're looking to buy a Ford Expedition or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. Once again, a link to that is in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. If you're curious about availability, we are expecting this to be available late spring into early summer this year, so you're not going to have to wait too much longer, and we're very excited to get some more extensive seat time with this new Expedition, so stay tuned to the channel if you aren't subscribed already. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.